and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst car since 2010. So you don't have to, in the very, very desperate search for points, and you join us at round number 8 of 2014 in the Caterham CT05. And it's been a bit of a season of two halves already, weirdly enough. You join us off the back of actually a disappointing Canadian Grand Prix, and not because we were nowhere and we were way off the back, but because we were 10th, and while getting lapped by Lewis Hamilton, we made a mistake and dropped to 13th, which is where we finished. Disappointing because, genuinely, believe we could have taken a point, and it would have been our first of the season, after 5 pretty terrible rounds in the likes of Bahrain, Malaysia, China, Australia and Spain. Monaco and Canada have seen a bit of a comeback, and this circuit may also be somewhere we can really push. It is the Austrian Grand Prix. It's the first Austrian Grand Prix of the series. It was the first Austrian Grand Prix in maybe about 12 years, maybe a bit more, after it dropped off the calendar and returned as the Red Bull ring rather than the A1 ring. And a circuit that's still on the calendar today, one that's hosted sprints and double headers back during the COVID seasons of 2020, and a circuit that is incredibly fast, incredibly short, but could be an awful lot of fun. But let's take a look at the standings before we go into Austria. We are down in 19th place, ahead of Kobayashi, Bianchi and Chilton, so we're ahead at least of the other Caterham and the two Mauritius. We're in a bunch of point scorers that runs from Jean-Eric Vergne in 14th place through Gutierrez, Maldonado, Grosjean and Soutel, and then all the way down to Chilton at the bottom. At the top end of things, though, if you remember 2014 because you were there, or you've listened to me speak about it in this series so far, it's the Silver Arrows, because of course it is. The only two cars to be in triple digits. Lewis Hamilton leading the way. And after Nico Rosberg having a terrible Monaco Grand Prix, he's really lost ground on his British compatriot and teammate. He's now 42 points behind. There is a double points round at the end, the ill-fated double points of 2014 at Abu Dhabi, but there's still a long way to go yet. Alonso and Ricciardo are 3rd and 4th, level on points, and just 3 clear of the other Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel. Hulkenberg having a stellar season in the Force India, much like he had a stellar season in the Sabre for us. I say for us, in our 2013. He's 6th, just a couple of points ahead of Jenson Button. Kevin Magnussen is in 8th, Raikkonen 9th, and it's Perez in 10th. Bottas, Kvyat and Massa, your point scorers. And in the constructor standings, obviously it's Mercedes at the top. Excuse me. Obviously it's Mercedes at the top. 139, I think, clear, if my maths serves that, of Red Bull, who are second, who are quite a distance ahead of Ferrari, who are quite a distance ahead of McLaren. Then it gets a bit feisty. McLaren just a point ahead of Force India. Williams, 35 points and kind of on their own in 6th, ahead of Toro Rosso, Sabre, Lotus, ourselves, Caterham and Marussia, the only ones yet to score. And that's how we stand coming into round number 8 at the Red Bull ring. As I said, it's a short circuit, one that has seen some quality battles in the past. Somehow, for a circuit that's so simple, seems to be one of the ones that I put as a kind of circuit that actually I really, really enjoy watching. There's always action, there's always intrigue, and with double DRS zones and the hairpins and things like that. I mean, it's triple DRS zones these days, but I think it's just the one back in 2014. But even this day, three DRS zones, hairpins, lots of heavy braking. It's a fun circuit to watch a Grand Prix, and it's a fairly fun circuit to drive even now. It should be interesting then to see how this works out in 2014. We've seen where new circuits have come in. The AI have either been super OP, India, I think, maybe not so much India, but Korea especially, or really, really weak. And after the 2 rounds we've just had in Monaco and Canada, there is a distinct hope that it will be the latter and we'll actually be able to compete here. We should probably then go and practice, find our way around the Austria of 2014. What we do, we'll talk about the real world. 2014 Austrian Grand Prix. Austria returned to the F1 calendar for the first time in 11 years as the circus arrived at the newly renamed Red Bull Ring for round 8 of the 2014 season, with over half the grid new to the Spielberg track. The opening practice session saw a few drivers come unstuck with the fast, flowing nature of the Red Bull Ring, seeing drivers push hard to maximise lap time, knowing that fractions of a second could mean the difference between top of the standings and the bottom. Vettel would find himself running wide at the final corner and turning his Red Bull into a double spin, while Massa also found himself off track during the session. Rosberg would top the times, despite suffering intermittent technical problems ahead of Hamilton and Alonso. The Mercedes dominance would continue into the second practice session, though Hamilton would lead the way ahead of Rosberg, with both Mercedes lapping the Red Bull Ring in under 70 seconds. Alonso would be third, but nearly a second behind the Silver Arrows. The final practice would see what was deemed as a shock in 2014 as Valtteri Bottas topped the timesheets ahead of Hamilton and Massa, the top three only separated by 0.053 seconds. It would be an even stranger behind that as the Toro Rosso of Kvyat pipped Rosberg to fourth place in the times. The FIA warned drivers before qualifying of the dangers of extending at turn 8, telling them that the lap times would be deleted. That would catch out Adrian Sutil, the German having his lap time deleted and leaving him eliminated in Q1, alongside the other Sauber of Gutierrez, the two Caterhams and the two Marussias. The second part of qualifying would see Sebastian Vettel knocked out, the Red Bull driver running wide at turn 3 on his final run and scuppering his chance to progress. Maldonado in the Lotus also found himself off track at turn 5, also finding himself eliminated alongside Perez, Button, Verne, Grosjean and the aforementioned Vettel. The biggest surprises would come in the final part of qualifying, however, as Hamilton lost the car through turn 8 on his first run, leaving the door open for Rosberg to capitalise. However, the German would find himself behind Bottas after the first runs. Hamilton would head back out, but his rear brakes locked and he was sent off at turn 2. The resulting yellow flag would mean Rosberg had to slow, meaning he wouldn't take pole either. Bottas would run wide on his final run, which left Felipe Massa to take a sensational pole position, his first since his Ferrari days in 2008. He'd be ahead of Bottas, Williams locking out the front row, Rosberg, Alonso, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Kvyat, Raikkonen, Hamilton down in 9th, and Nico Hülkenberg.
Really poor. Everyone seems to be struggling for grip.
All eyes at the start were on 9th place man Hamilton, the expectation that he would rattle off the positions in short order. He'd claimed 2 spots on the run up to turn 1, before passing Magnussen towards turn 2. Before the lap ended, Hamilton would pounce on an Alonso mistake to find himself 4th, behind the other Mercedes of Nico Rosberg. It wouldn't be a smooth sailing for Red Bull, however. First, Ricciardo got caught out by the high curves at turn 1, before Vettel found himself coming to a stop with an engine failure on the run to turn 3. However, as soon as he stopped, the Renault power unit in the back of the Red Bull coughed its way back into life, and he was able to get back up to speed. As he did so, Ricciardo found himself running off track to avoid his slow-moving teammate, opening the door for Daniel Kvyat to pass in the Toro Rosso. Rosberg would be the first of the leaders to pit, the two Williams drivers staying out longer to attempt to hold off the Mercedes. Rosberg would, however, claim the net lead of the race when Bottas and Massa both went in, acting as a buffer between the German and Lewis Hamilton. It wouldn't be both for long though, as Hamilton lunged from distance after Massa left the pits to mug his former championship rival.
Time in sectors 1 and 3.
The top 4 would continue to battle, Bottas putting Rosberg on the defensive after the German made an error while attempting to pass Perez during the next pit stop phase. Hamilton would later find his way past Valtteri Bottas to move in behind Rosberg, chasing him for the majority of the rest of the Grand Prix. Rosberg would, however, somehow hold out, leading a customary Mercedes 1-2, while Bottas, who'd been impressive all day, took his maiden podium. Massa, Alonso, Perez, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg and Raikkonen would complete the top 10 and those point scorers. What hope do we have at this short but rapid corner of Austria? Well, we've had a couple of decent races on the run-up to this one, even threatening Q2 at Monaco. This should really be a circuit that doesn't suit this car whatsoever, but I'm confident that our recent upturn in qualifying form could stand us in good stead here. It's such a fast-flowing, fun track to drive, very much like Interlagos, where we've had some decent results as well. I'd say let's aim for 17th place, but hope that we can kind of force our way into Q2 if traffic becomes a problem for the rest of the field.
Kamui's in fourth at the moment. Okay, you should be able to get into the next qualifying session easily, so try to get a hot lap in early so we can save the tyres.
Into qualifying then for the Austrian Grand Prix. Engineer Andy being super optimistic. Yeah, we should get into Q2. I don't think we will, Andy. I know we've had a couple of good results, but that's down to the race more than it is qualifying, but jeez. But practice was wet, can't really get any representative times out of that. It is still such a fun track to drive, it is quick. The times are likely to still be fairly spread compared to what we see these days, where they're all really tightly contested. But if we can get out there, get some quick laps in, and maybe, just maybe, sneak ourselves into the top 16, that would be something. Take a look at our fastest lap on the shortest circuit on the calendar, and it turns out it's our first lap as we head up towards turn number 1. Heavy braking, we bounce across the inside curve, run a little wide, which compromises our speed, but we can get back on the power pretty quickly as we head up through turn 2, this little kink to the left before you heavy on the brakes again up towards turn 3 at the top of the hill. 19 dead in the first sector, not bad whatsoever, trying to get the traction down on the exit and keeping the car well within the track limits, which is a good sign. Another long run with DRS open down the hill into this long radius right-hander. Heavy on the brakes initially, trying to get on the power early, but the car doesn't want to stick, so we have to back out and get back on throttle before we're into this middle sector. This is where I was losing time through a lot of the race weekend, but we're doing okay here. 50.6 through there, a little wide through the next one as we head out of the middle sector, but not into the gravel, so we're doing okay once again. Into the penultimate corner, trying to keep it within track limits here will be tough, and we run a little wide, but we do take a little bit of liberty with the final corner, running wide again on the power, but it's only good enough to fall behind others.
That's qualifying over for us. We were hoping for better. You're starting in 22nd tomorrow.
Qualifying concludes, as it so often has this season, in 22nd and last, and a second off Max Chilton. After Monaco and Canada, I was kind of hoping that things were going to be on the up. We'd been getting off the back row, and Monaco obviously very nearly even got through to Q2, but this time around we're knocked out with Gutierrez, Maldonado, Kobayashi, Bianchi, Chilton. And I don't know, I couldn't give it much more. I think it was my first lap, maybe. I think I did that. And then that was it. Never was able to get close to it again. And even if we had, and managed to beat it by a tenth or two, we were never going to close up to anybody else. Saving grace, I guess, is that this place is fairly short, so this race won't take too long, and we're likely to get lapped, if not more than once. So, well, at least we don't have to worry so much about this being a bit of a slog, but hopefully we can make some places up early, get in amongst some people. But the only way we're going to know that is by crossing to the race. Pre-race then, here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix of 2014, and we start 22nd for the 6th time this season. Just didn't feel like we could really do anything in qualifying. It didn't really go for us. Car was a bit slow, didn't really work out. But that doesn't mean the race will be a dud. It is Austria after all. Let's take a look at the grid order and then we'll talk about our hopes for the race. It's Daniel Ricciardo that takes pole position. I think that's the first non-Mercedes pole of the season, ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Vettel's in third, then it's Rosberg, Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, Bottas, Hulkenberg up there in the top 10 with Raikkonen, and the other Force India as well of Sergio Perez. Good start there for Force India. In 11th is Massa ahead of Magnussen, Kvyat, Sutil, Grosjean and Verne. And then those of us knocked out in Q1, Gutierrez, Maldonado, Kobayashi, Bianchi, Chilton and me. And this is one of those sorts of races, I think, that it's a long race in terms of laps, 36, but much like Brazil, quite a short circuit to drive. So the hope is that things can happen as this race progresses. And with the heavy braking zones, the DRS zones at the top of the hill and up to the start-finish straight up to turn 1, opportunities could be available if we're in amongst the pack at the end of lap 3. It's a circuit that is so short that you can find yourself either a mile off the pack and being lapped constantly, or constantly in amongst it, because it's difficult to really just disappear away. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to stay with us. We're probably going to see everybody shoot off quite early and never see them again. We got to pick up places early. We've had a nice run of it since, well, for Monaco and Canada, 2 13th places. It would be really nice to get back in amongst it here and be in that mix, but I just fear, because it's all very flat out, that we're going to really struggle power-wise. So we're going to pick a lower spot for our objective. I think let's go P16, hoping that there's some shenanigans and a couple of drivers drop out, also that we can gain spots at the start and just try and stay ahead of people. That would be the most ideal scenario. It is going to be tough though, and we've got Britain next as well, which is another circuit I'm not particularly great at. It might, realistically though, we'll see as the Austrian Grand Prix trickle by. It might be that it's just this car, and that we have a better time of it in the McLaren, or the Manor, or the Sabres, or the Williams, or the Haas. We'll see as we go through the rest of the series, but this first one is really going to be the basis of everything that we do here in Austria going forward. So less yapping, more driving. Let's cross to the grid for the 2014 Austrian Grand Prix. Red Bull on pole at the Red Bull ring. Ricciardo ahead of Hamilton. There's Kobayashi. You can see us in the background.
Not where we wanted you to be, so we'll need you to push hard in the race.
Angry engineer Andy there. Not where we wanted to be as the fifth red light comes on and is out, and away we go. And Austria is a bit of a bogged down start, but we're not actually losing the pack for a change, which is nice. They start to get away from us climbing their hill. And we bump the back of Pastor Maldonado as they all just work out what they're doing. Into turn 1, Perez has fallen back. He's in 10th, wasn't he, I think? And staying Perez's slipstream up the hill. And then we'll dive up the inside of a couple more, shall we? Romain Grosjean spots us. Gives us the room. We're up to 13th place. The two McLarens fighting up ahead of us. They're fighting with somebody else as well. I'd assume Nico Hulkenberg in the Force India as we break down into this corner at the bottom of the hill. Grosjean being held up by Button, who was held up by Magnussen, so we managed to take advantage. We're into P12. Once again, first lap in the start, doing very well as Button cuts across us and we elbow him out to the grass. P11 now. Already 2 seconds off K-Mag, so this might be as high as we go for now, but Button's going to come straight back at us in the McLaren. Well, that's McLaren obviously with a Mercedes engine until more recent times. We'll get pinged for corner cutting at the end of the first lap on the last corner, but we will cross the line in P12.
We predict a dry race.
Dry racing coming as well as Grosjean has got past Jenson Button behind. Hamilton's also jumped into the lead. DRS up to this section, but the next one there will be as Sutil has a think. Kvyat's there as well, so we'll just sort of sit in the middle of the road. Does compromise our line a bit through the hairpin. Kvyat will now have DRS. Holding off the Russians is going to be quite tricky, I feel, but we've seen this season. I don't really know where to go as he goes to the inside and breaks early, which means that we can sweep back around the outside of him. Yeah, looking to the outside, that gap is tiny. And there's bits of carbon fibre at turn 1. Magnussen slipped behind Massa. I don't know if he's slowing up. Kvyat has held on to 12th. The sector into this last sector really is where I'm weakest, but tough to pass in that part of the track. Button now behind us in the McLaren. Again, just sort of holding him to the outside. Kvyat looking for a bit of a move on the outside. There was contact. I could just about see him in the mirrors. I wasn't moving towards the racing line. He just sort of went for it. Is he going to go again? Living up to his name as the Torpedo there. Even though that nickname he gained in a season or two's time. Yeah, looking to the outside as we struggle through the middle sector. Block him out a little bit, and Button has a think about it. Not enough, realistically, to pull alongside.
The pit window is open.
Are in the pits. Seen Felipe Massa, so we are in the top 10 briefly.
That's 8 places up from our race prediction. Great job, keep it up.
We just sort of sit in the middle of the road in front of Kvyat. I'll look at the inside, even there.
You box in this lap.
It depends who out of the cars behind stays out and who comes in as well. There's definitely not. Well, there's a possibility we won't necessarily have the pace to get back past some of these guys as we get a warning for track limits as we enter the pits. A couple of people go past. Gutierrez one of them. Massa will go by as well. Obviously Kobayashi 2. Currently we lost 3 spots. Make that 5 as we slip to 15th. We're going for the primes as well. Will, I think, get out. Yeah, we will. Get out ahead of Button and Kvyat. Maldonado, Gutierrez, Massa, I think Kobayashi have all got past us as we drag the barrier on the way out of the pits. It's a bit silly. Jensen Button got there behind him.
We put a new set of prime tyres on the car. You have 2 stops remaining.
2 stops in this strategy, even with the primes. Sutil now the man behind us. Looks like Kamui's gone on. Maldonado's in, somebody else is in the pits and heading out at the moment.
The car behind is trying to save fuel.
They jump us, you know. They will. Who was it? Who is it? Sergio Perez. Kiss goodbye to the Force India fairly shortly. He's all to the inside at the penultimate corner, but he's going back out of it. Move to make there, run wide.
Within the next 3 laps.
Sit in the middle of the track and just about block out Sutil. Button tries to go around the outside. He's going to run out of room pretty quick. Hold 14th. We're up there in 12th. Jensen having another look as we're trying to sort out our fuel. Kobayashi is in, somebody else is in with him as well. Well, they're leaving the pits, I think they are. As Vern goes to the outside, we just about give him the space there as we have lost out again in the pits to Gutierrez this time, but 13th, still pretty good. They're on the alternate strategy, I think. Gutierrez may also be on that strategy. I think he might have started on the primes.
The car ahead is running the option tyre. We may have
maybe
trouble closing the gap during this
Or may
stint.
have run the primes, should I say, in the first stint. On the options now. We've got 2 stops left. I'm kind of hoping that we can make it on 1. We'll see now. We go into lap 20, which will hopefully be a few laps after these guys. But right up the inside there. Thought he'd done it for a second, but didn't manage to hold the line. Let's let Adrian Sutil in the Sauber through. We can go back into standard for a minute, which is realistically what we need to do to try and just stay with them. A couple of cars in that group in the pits now, so we're likely to start seeing people coming in who went soft to soft. Okay, while the sun shines, see if the alternate strategy is going to work out for us. Not a button with the overspeed though, look at that.
The car behind is running on full revs. He's trying to close the gap.
Crosses to the middle of the track, and we have to take a bit of avoiding action to not go into the back
for next pit stop.
of the McLaren. He's through. Yankee there looking for the outside. Had a couple of pretty dire laps. We are quite slow, as it turns out. Keeping behind us for now. Kobayashi's going to be in that group as well. We have leaders behind us before we get to the pit stop.
He's not racing you for position.
Really ain't going to have to back off too much here. That Hamilton can just go way through. We'll run a bit wide there. Is it Hamilton? It is Hamilton. Have to back off a touch just to let him through. Now a lap down. Taking 20 laps though, so that's pretty good going. I thought we were going to get lapped at like 5 or 6. Realistically, with the severe lack of pace. The Yankee follows me in. A Ferrari as well. Work out who that is. It is a Ferrari. Possibly one of the leaders rather than somebody behind us, but in we come.
Complete, go now.
Everybody else
There's some
up into
traffic
turn
at the
1.
exit. Watch out as you rejoin the track.
And we are 17th. Thanks to the
we
fact
need you
that
to make
there's
way
a
for the
Williams
car
coming
behind.
past. We make that 16th. We jump button because he is
Button should be
getting out
due
the
a tyre
way
change within a couple of laps.
of the Williams of Bottas. Field should be able
The car ahead is running
He
the
pushes
option
us.
tyre. We may have trouble closing the gap
to
during
Ferrari
this
there
stint.
as well. Kimi Raikkonen.
Good job, back up to speed now.
Back in
Blue
front
flag,
of
no
Jensen
number of
Button.
five.
We're going to need to come in at lap 30. I'm really hoping that that's not actually the case and we can run these primes out to the end. Button has a look. He has more than a look. But we will break him into the penultimate corner. He's on options, so we'll need to come in fairly shortly.
Kamui has just come into the pits.
Kobayashi's in. Should jump our Japanese teammate. Really trying to let Fernando through. There we
Back up
go.
to speed. Wave blue conditions no longer apply.
Magnussen. Under poor qualifying. He's done well to move himself into a decent position here. Could try and find somewhere to get out the Dane's way. It's tough in the middle sector, but we'll slow down that room outside there.
Grosjean's following 5 seconds behind you. Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through.
We've
You're
got
not racing
a Force India, so we run wide. Just trying to let him through. There we go. That'll be Hulkenberg. So we're down to 21 in this race. Daniel Ricciardo, the pole sitter in the Red Bull, out of this one. Grosjean going for the inside into the penultimate corner. Maldonado behind me as well. They're going to switch places. Run wide. Keeping the Lotus behind us now could be incredibly difficult.
Vern has just come into the pit.
Maldonado and Grosjean, one side of each. Grosjean not got the space there and will just about keep Maldonado behind. Bottas has just come out the pits in front, so we can use that as a handy little tow. We've moved up to 13th as well. That'll be passing the stricken Daniel Ricciardo. I think Vern's in the pits too. DRS off Bottas, which is really going to help us out. He looks for the move. We're up to 12th. Somebody else in the pits, I guess, is the other Williams of Massa, I'd say. He's actually just in front of us. For position, that Williams. Massa breaks incredibly early into the hairpin, so we can dip past the Brazilian and back up into P11, which is where we were early in the race. If we could hold these tyres out, it'd be a decent result. The car's in the pits, but nobody that we're fighting. There's Magnussen coming back out in front of us, using the McLaren advantage here, because Massa should easily breeze past us. Oh, he broke so early as we again have to kind of get out of it a little bit.
To be going for a shorter stint. He's had the option tyres fitted to the car.
Use DRS from Magnussen. Yankees in P12. Massa not having a good day of it.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Hulkenberg going back past us again. Through goes the Force India. These are looking a bit worse for wear. It's a short lap though. Can we really, realistically hold on these tyres? Let's see what happens, shall we? I think, rather than going in now for a change for no reason. If we can ride this one out to the end and claim an 11th or a 12th, that would look pretty good as Vern has a look. As we're heading down towards the racing line. Both Toro Rossos are behind us. It would be ideal if somebody ahead dropped out of this race. I don't think they're going to, and we're 50 seconds off Gutierrez, so we're not going to catch him. But P11 would still be a great result after such a terrible qualifying here, and would really keep us on track after Monaco and Canada. Just take a little look to see where the Toro Rossos are in relation to us. Yeah, looks once, looks twice. Well, he's not going to be close enough here. There we are, struggling a bit on these tyres, but with us being a lap down as well, as we nearly catapult off the final corner, and Button tries to go round us on the grass. Get a warning for that, fair enough. As we were squirreling around off the curb. Here comes Button again. Inside at the top of the hill. Keeping behind us was Button and both Toro Rossos now. I was about to say, with us being a lap down, we are already a few from the end of this race. Button with the overspeed. Is it enough overspeed? There's a little bit more bumping and barging. And we once again get a warning for it. Really struggling for traction on these rears at the moment. Button's gone backwards. And there are leaders coming, so that might save us in these final couple. Vern has dropped back, so yeah, I think
is on newer tyres than us. Be
the
aware.
leaders are coming through, or midfield cars, should I say, at this point. Yeah. Oh, actually, oh, that might be a Mercedes. That might be the race leader.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car
And if
behind.
it is indeed Lewis Hamilton. We're already a lap down. We're going to go 2 laps down, which means that the next lap is going to be our last.
There's a gap of 3 seconds between you and the car behind.
Perfect timing, Lewis. Thank you. I've been so happy to go 2 laps down, and we've got a Force India behind us now as well. Out of Checo. This is our last lap of the race. Staying out on these tyres was the best option in the end then. We ran as high as 10th. But we've stayed sort of in amongst the midfield battle all the way through, despite a distinct lack of pace. We get DRS off Perez here as well, really helpful. We did run as high as 10th briefly when Massa went in for his first pit stop of the race. Spent a lot of our time fighting the Toro Rossos, the McLaren of Jenson Button, and Saubers as well. Gutierrez jumped us in that first set of stops, and we never caught him back as the rears are pretty ruined. Now just trying to hold off Vern, Kvyat and Button to the end to claim what would be our best result of the season. Lewis Hamilton takes the victory and will extend his championship lead, but we will cross the line. P11 in Formula One's return to Austria.
Nice drive, just outside the points.
So P11 then, our best result of the season, just ahead of Daniel Kvyat, Jenson Button and Jean-Eric Verne. We also finish ahead of Sutil, Maldonado, Massa. Down in 17th, don't know what happened to him. Chilton in 18th, and it's Bianchi, Grosjean and Kobayashi is last. Daniel Ricciardo didn't finish. Well, at the top end of things, Hamilton beat Vettel with Rosberg in 3rd, so Hamilton extends even further than I thought he was going to. Raikkonen's in 4th, with Bottas 5th, and Alonso, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Perez and Gutierrez, your point scorers. We were that close. But you can see how far off the pace we were. 1:15.1, our best lap. Closest was 13.7 from Max Chilton. So we were way off the pace. But we still managed to come home and claim P11. What does that do for the drivers' stand-ins? Well, it's not going to change our position. But at the top, Lewis Hamilton saying 52 clear of Rosberg, with Vettel 99 behind the leader in 3rd, just ahead of Fernando Alonso. Ricciardo slips to 5th after DNF in Hulkenberg, up there in 6th, ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, Jenson Button, Valtteri Bottas, Magnussen, Perez, Kvyat and Massa are now joined by Esteban Gutierrez, who takes a single point. That's his first of the season. Jean-Eric Verne's 15th. We move up to 16th. We've jumped Maldonado, Sutil and Grosjean after 3 great races in a row. Kamui Kobayashi's 20th, ahead of Chilton and Bianchi, while in the constructors, Mercedes are 161 clear of Red Bull. Might as well give them that trophy now. Ferrari are in 3rd, just hunting down the Austrian outfit. And then it's McLaren ahead, Force India, Williams, Toro Rosso and Sauber now with a point on the board. But we jump Lotus. My results in the last 3 races have made it possible for us to jump Team Lotus. And then Marussia are 11th. And Austria, actually, despite the utterly terrible qualifying, we still come home P11. Best result of the season. Beating out Team Lotus, or Lotus, should I say. They're not Team Lotus at this point. and it elevates us above the black and gold machines, which, when you consider the history of Caterham, the brief history of Caterham being both Lotus at one point or another, being ahead of them is still a good thing for us. So 3 good race finishes in a row. Absolute undeniable scenes in the Green Garage. Great Britain is next, our home race. Somewhere that we've not really performed particularly well at in Blue Flag Bandits, but maybe the upwards trajectory could continue on. Fingers crossed. But you know the drill by now. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. I shall see you for the next one at Silverstone. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.